Blog Talk Radio.
2017. Big Truth. The big talk for you. What up? Shout out Ahwar King. Big Boo. Me. Shout out everybody. Check it. Hey yo, debate talk for you so you can absorb information free of charge so you can afford. Get poppin', live off the greatest doctrine. Sip the juice, know the ledge like the great Rakim. On a mission, not a small time thing. Defense biblical, offense got the haters watching. Hands are skill, footwork is ill. Get in the den, see if you can stand for real. If you rep Kim and Cool, yo I rep Israel. If you Torah based only or new as well, welcome to listen. Style always fair decision. Two sides come together to compare what's written. Seeking the facts, seeking the math, teaching the acts, leaking the tracks. Call while you eating your snacks. Music in my bones, DNA, C double E and K. Little something for the showtime, we can play. One love, one love, one love.
Welcome to the planet of the beats, the Beat Talking Radio.
All praises, all honor, all glory to the supreme intellect of the universe. This is Nasi Yashuvel of Shomrei HaTorah in Atlanta. And if I'm not reading my Torah or suplexing some false deity, I'm listening to my man, Sal Showtime, and Debate Talk for You Radio. Beautiful. Keep doing the good work, brother, bringing forth the information and spreading that love.
Peace and blessings to everyone that's listening. This is Moreh Yakel, the mighty Hebrew, Lion of Judah with Campaign for Biblical Literacy Ministries, walking in the way of my forefathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, observing the Torah, slaying devils, and manifesting the blessing of the Most High. Come by, pay us a visit by going to my website at www.campaignforbiblicalliteracy.com and by going to my YouTube channel at Campaign for Biblical Literacy Ministries. Shalom.
Hi, this is Tyrone Thompson, host of the Blog Talk Radio broadcast Talk Real Solutions. Please tune in and listen to all of our shows 7 nights a week at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. At Talk Real Solutions, we cover a variety of topics to ensure we speak about what may be needed in our community at any time. Talk Real Solutions is the hottest blog talk radio show going on right now. You can listen to our broadcast at www.blogtalkradio.com/talkrealsolutions or visit our website at www.talkrealsolutions.com. Also like our Facebook page at www.facebook.com/talkrealsolutions. You can call in at any time during the show and add to the conversation and offer your solutions at 1-858-357-8453. That's 1-858-357-8453. Because at Talk Real Solutions, we want to make sure you have a chance to talk real solutions.
Never allow the possibility of your heart desire to trouble your mind, whether it is success or happiness, because your mind is a powerful machine that is very capable of manifesting anything that it conceives and believes in. Become more enlightened about life and the subconscious mind by visiting quotesforthemind.com. You are only as strong as the thoughts that constantly dwell in your mind. Therefore, never allow any negative belief about your abilities in life to be granted shelter in your mind. Edmund Mbiaka, foodforthemind.com.
Yeah, Shalom. I want to give a shout out to Sal at Debate Talk for You. What's going on? Hey, Debate Talk for You is where it's at. You know, get your verses straight, put your cell phone record, come on board, present what you got. If anyone try to cut you off, Sal will just mute that guy's mic. You know, he'll let you express what you got. He'll let you present what you studied for. Let the audience decide if what you got, you know, is inside the scriptures. Debate Talk for You. Once again, shout out to Sal. Terrific job. Hey, you can press it number 1 or find yourself on a lion's den.
Hey, what's going on? This is Felix, also known as Enoch, student at Absolute Bible Truth, and I'd like to give a big shout out to Sal Showtime and Debate Talk for You. I'm a frequent listener, been listening since season 1. Keep doing your thing, and for everybody out there who can hear this, send in your donations so Debate Talk for You could go on for a long time. All right, y'all. Peace.
Hey, what's up? This is Uncle E from the Uncle E Show on YouTube. You're now listening to Debate Talk for You Radio. Please check in every Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Call up if you got questions. The number is 319 527 6239.
Got it.
Please press 1 for question and comments. And also check out my show on YouTube at Renegades TV. Big shout out to my brother, Sal Showtime. Let's get it.
Don't touch that dial. You're now listening to Debate Talk for You Radio.
This is Ronald Francoeur representing from Atlanta, Georgia. And when I'm not busy in the studio, I'm checking out Debate Talk for You Radio. Keep up the great work, Sal Showtime.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? How you guys doing? Welcome to another show. You're now listening to Season 7, 2017 version of Debate Talk for You. I'm your host, Sal Showtime, and we are back with another classic show for you guys. Well, it's a Monday. You know what that means. It's time for the Relationship Challenge. And once again, it's the first show for 2017 right here on Debate Talk for You Radio. We appreciate everybody that's tuning in via phone and via Skype. I'll that number, 319-527-6239. I see all the supporters out there that's been calling in 15 minutes, 10 minutes ahead of time, that's waiting for the show to come on the air. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. Today's show is entitled, Who's Your Master? Should we call the man Lord? Once again, today's show is entitled, Who's Your Master? Should we call the man Lord? Of course, we're going to bring in the host of the Relationship Challenge. She is here, right here on Debate Talk for You Radio, the First Lady. This is Emunah. Israel. Welcome to the show.
Greetings and welcome. Thanks for having me back, Brother Sal. Pray all is well. Praise be to the Most High. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, we're back live, you know. Everybody's been waiting for this show. We've been promoting it on Instagram, social media. Who is your master? Should we call the man Lord? So we have a lot of listeners tuning in, getting ready for the show. But before we do that, of course, we got to talk about the C3 Challenge. We got to talk about
the C3
Challenge. Let
Challenge.
know about the C3. Yeah, let them know about that C3 Challenge.
Most definitely. We just actually kicked it off, but it's something that's ongoing. You know, a lot of the people, we have a lot of debates here at Debate Talk for You, and some of us are full of, you know, keep it clean, keep it professional. And so the C3 Challenge is a take on health, you know, where it is that we're using social media as a means to promote health and cleansing of one of the very most important organs, but the one that is highly neglected, which is the colon. And because a lot of people don't want to talk about the fact that either they might be having irregularities when they go to the bathroom, or straining, or constipation, or yeast infections, or, you know, being fatigued, or whatever it is that's going on with them, the C3 Challenge creates a space where we can have this conversation. And I've compiled a 30-day comprehensive cleanse that when you sign up, you'll have a support system to go through the process. So it's not just like one of those crash diets, you just crash diet. That's not what it is at all. It's cleansing on all levels, emotionally, physically, and spiritually as well. And so the C3 Challenge, you could check it out at www.c3challenge.club. And it's also about education. There's a lot of people in our community dying from cancer, colon cancer, things that are very preventable. But if you don't know that, not going to the bathroom every day is a problem, then you're going to think it's normal. Once a week is a problem. That is an environment for toxicity to grow in the body, and you will develop some kind of ailment, diabetes, high blood pressure, cancer, most high forbid. So this is taking our education to the next level and actually doing something about it. So once again, check out that C3 Challenge. What you say, Brother Sal? You gonna sign up?
You know what? I'm still contemplating on that. You know what I mean? Still contemplating on that. I know you got a lot of updates on social media, right? Let them know about your updates on social media, the daily, social media updates, stuff like that. Go ahead.
Yeah, just go ahead and check. If you follow Emunah Yisrael, we have a few people. Sister Mayanah signed up. My brother signed up. I got a few people who started. Like I said, it's ongoing. Once you sign up, you can come into the group. I do share things on Instagram. Because that's the kind of world we're in right now, where people share and get intrigued. So you can watch the results. But once again, if you're eating and you're in a toxic environment, without going into the whole spiel on the show, but if you're eating additives and preservatives, if you're eating meat, cheese, dairy, if you're eating junk food, chips, and all of this stuff like this, if you have things in your household that have additives and preservatives in, like perfumes and all of these things, they go into your system. And if you don't cleanse your system, then it begins to back up. And so if you want more information, this applies to us all because, last time I checked, we eat. You know what I'm saying? We're supposed to be going to the bathroom. So if you would like more information, once again, just check me out on social media, Emunah Yisrael, and I can definitely show you to where you can become more educated. Because one more thing, Brother Sal, we don't want to just like, oh, this is a cool thing to do, let's do it. No, my aim, as always, is education. I want people to understand why you're doing it and get the benefit and be able to articulate to somebody else the benefit of doing it, you understand? And the problem that may arise when we don't do it. And so with that said, I'll go ahead and relinquish the mic. Once again, c3challenge.club. I mean, everybody always posting their food like, oh, look at all my big food plate on social media. And when you start talking about cleansing, everybody got crickets. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, now I'm already getting some feedback already from the people out there. We got them with my West Indian family out there already asking, like, all I got to do is get some Cena, you know what I mean, or some trauma.
I know they say that.
And it cleanses.
You know what
you know what I'm saying? So let them know the benefits of the C3 Challenge in comparison to that stuff. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I grew up on Centipede. Okay, Centipede is like it send you to the bathroom one time. You understand? Cramp your stomach and everything. You can't go outside drinking Centipede. You know what I'm saying? That would be a problem. Now, but when you grow up and if your parents are accustomed to giving you, like mine, where it cleanses every year, twice a year, then you will not have the ability to accumulate. But because of a lot of people and their parents, those who came before, did not do those things, the toxins, the mucoid plaque really is what this challenge is going to get out, not just the loose bowel movement. It's talking about the rubbery substance that has developed over your actual intestines, over your actual colon. And so that is the stuff that Senna cannot get out. And the people who have been, the colon cleanse that I refer to, they've been in business since 1985. So, and I've used them several times and referred plenty of people because it works. So the difference between Senna is like a maintenance cleanse, and this one is a deep cleansing, as well as it speaks to why you are accumulating this mucoid plaque to begin with. And so it's education. It's not just pick one, wash out. It's education all around.
All right, so if you want to find out more, I'm going to attach the website to the actual description box, like I think I already did that on the blog talk. But of course, on the YouTube page, I'm going to add all the links to the C3 Challenge. If you want to do some more, research, check it out. Support black business. Definitely. Go and support black business. All right, so let's introduce the home panel, of course. Debate Talk for You. Let's bring in my sister, Mayanah. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Josh. Shalom, everyone. How's everybody doing?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you doing on that C3 challenge? How you doing on that?
Oh, you know what? Today was actually my first full day, and as I posted online, as part of my promise to the people to keep parts of the journey public, so they can follow along. As I posted today, I met with some anxiety because I wasn't certain on what types of changes the diet necessitated, but Emunah was available, informative, and encouraging, and through having conversations with her, I was able to have a lot of questions answered and a lot of concerns allayed. And it's great to have someone that is available to you and isn't just kind of pushing a product in order to gain a profit, but is showing that kind of personal investment in you. She also has an entire Facebook group where other people who are participating in this effort, it really feels like a club. It really feels like there are other people who are sharing their anxieties, their encouragements, their excitement, and their, those successes, and even, I predict maybe in the future minor failures that we would do along the way as we engage this. So that's one of the things that I think is the best benefit of participating with Emunah's program specifically, because I'm certain there are other programs that people have come into contact. But what's particularly unique and advantageous to Emunah's program is that you have that person who's asking you to or encouraging you to participate also available to you, and in that way it's very personalized. It's not just one size fits all, because obviously we're all coming in from different sizes and different spaces with different ailments. So it's great that that kind of personalization is also available to us. So my first day, okay, so I didn't know what to eat, so I was a little anxious. But like I said, I feel much better about it now, and I'm looking forward to the build-up. It's not something that she's asking you to abandon all of your previous habits immediately, but rather to become conscious of the choices that you are making so that eventually you taper off and become prepared for the cleanse, which is not happening in the beginning. It happens towards the end. So I think that as people become curious and sign up or reach out to her, they will find that this is not a daunting effort, and there's no real reason to be afraid of it. There's a lot of support. It's very considerate of where you are. And so I would encourage anyone who has any type of curiosity, including you, Sal, to look into it, sign up, and join us on Facebook.
All right. Wow, look at that. Thank you, Mayanah. That was nice.
Like I said, support of black business. Support black business. We got the link right here. And I might definitely have to cleanse up myself, you know what I'm saying? So, join that C3 challenge. Well, let's go to the next person on the home panel. Let's go to my brother, Ahwar Da Swordsman. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, what's going on, Sal? Shalom. What's up, sisters? How y'all doing? Shalom to y'all. How's everything?
Long time no hear. It sounds like a long time you haven't heard your voice.
So what you been up to, Ahwar Da Swordsman? What you been up to since the break, man? What you been up to?
Oh, just getting built up, working on some stuff. And, tomorrow the Night of Fire is back, so all those out in Israelite land, come and check it out. It's going to be about family in the Bible. It's going to be raw. Some people ain't going to like it. You know how I do. But, I'm going to check out their website. I was listening to what you said, and I need to do that because I drove trucks for so many years, and being out there on that road, my diet was crazy, and I'm feeling the after effects now. So I just started on a new lifestyle and eating, too, so I'm going to definitely check that website out.
I know you hear this now. That's a debate talk for you, family on deck. Hit me up, brother Ahwar. I have all the information for you.
Okay.
All right.
Once again, today's show is entitled, Who's Your Master? Should we call the man Lord? I see we have a lot of people standing by ready to chime in. You got to be pressing number one already, as usual. But we're going to get to y'all. Definitely going to get to y'all. But let's bring in our special guest for the night. Brother Mercy, welcome to the show.
Yeah, how you doing, Sal? Showtime. It's good to be back. This is Mercy. It seems like it'll be an interesting discussion today. That was an interesting thing about the detox. Well, I think it's detox. You said D3 or C3. I might say D3, C3. It seems like it'll be an interesting discussion today about the topic. So thanks Sal for inviting me back. Thanks ladies. I'm glad to be back and good to hear from you again, Swordsman. All
right, brother.
All right, so like as usual, we're going to kick off the show in no foul language. Got to keep it clean, keep it professional. Everybody knows the rules on Debate Talk for You Radio. For the special guests in our home panel, if you have any noise in your background, just mute your phones to avoid any interruption. And, of course, listening audience, if you want to ask any questions, you know that number, 319-527-6339. I'll ask that you keep it clean as well. Keep it professional. Once you call in, it's press number 1, and we'll add you in the conversation. Let's get the show started. Emunah, take it away.
All right. I feel like I went on vacation for a little bit, but not really. It feels like we haven't been back in a while, but it's good to be back. All praise be to the Most High. Welcome, everybody. Like Brother Sal stated, the question is, shall we call the man Lord? There are, why did this come up? A lot of things, usually social media land and personal experience for those of us who have been in Knesset's, camps, synagogues, places of worship where you're actually interfacing. And everybody has their own take on, as we know, the Bible, the text. And, one of the things that comes up as it relates to women is that they should call the man Lord because Ima Sarah called Abraham Lord. And in some places they force you to address the man as Adon. Other places they suggest it's only reserved for your husband. And this is kind of what we're going to talk about today. Is it a sign of respect or is it a demanding of respect? Is it a necessity or is it an allowance? These are the things that we're kind of examine today to see, where everybody falls on it. And some people may be like, well, that's not even a question. I'm not understanding why. And hopefully we can kind of uncover or unpack the thought process of those who feel like it's a necessity. And is it a hindrance? Or does he even have to do anything to earn the title? Like, can he just show up and be called Adon? Or does he have to meet the standard to be able to be called Lord? And what even does it mean from the male's perspective? So these are all of the questions. We hope that the males are very vocal today on this topic. And with that said, I'm actually going to start with Brother Ahwar. He's been long in the Israelite walk. And so, Brother Ahwar, have you heard this before as it relates to calling the man Adon? Your thoughts?
Well, I had a brother, I ain't going to say his name. I had a brother in the truth that he had his rev man. When he would come in the door, she would jump down on the floor and be like, call him Lord. I know a brother that had it like that. And she was from Torah, the Torah-based Israelites, a straight Torah, wasn't dealing with the New Testament. And it worked for him, that was his thing. But my thing is this, according to the scriptures. I want to read it first. It says, this is 1 Peter. This is 1 Peter 3 and 5. It says, for after this manner in the old time, the holy women also who trusted in the Most High adorned themselves, being in subjection to their own husbands. Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are. And what I loved about Sarah, this wasn't nothing she was forced to do. She took the initiative to do that because Abraham was so on point with the way he moved with her. That's what a lot of cats leave out. She trusted in him for her to do that. That wasn't something that, he was like, look, call me Lord. Because these days, a lot of these cats is doing that on the basis of falseness. But she willfully did that in her humility towards the Most High and the way Abraham carried himself. And it was before the curses. This is the beginning, way in the beginning, where the curses wasn't so intense like they are today. So I respect that if a woman, and Sarah's on a high spiritual level, that's something that's spiritual right there. That's high level. That's a spiritual system. So some women can eat that, some women can't. But I admire that. But I'm gonna pass the mic.
Okay, so what I gained from what you said, Brother Award, that you've seen it being forced before, but you personally don't agree with forcing somebody. You think that the man has to or should be on a level where the woman she volunteers this level of respect. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, very interesting. We're gonna come to Sister Mayanah now, and then we're gonna come to Brother Mercy. So, Sister Mayanah, your thoughts? Do you have any wild stories? Because you know, Brother Award always be having the wild stories. I was picturing the woman jumping off of the sea and falling on the ground. Like I saw the whole thing. Like, do you have any experiences, any wild stories? Have you seen this in your walk? The mic is yours.
Oh, absolutely. I know a lot of sisters, both in the past, as I've been a student of the culture and participant of the culture since the 90s. So I have seen through time women participating in saluting their men in this way, their personal issues in this way. And, be it like, usually in Hebrew or some variant of Hebrew, and avoiding the English word Lord. And instead saying Adoni, Adawan, Adawanya, Adon, these other the words, which I guess kind of keeps, I think that serves the function of keeping it in a particular perspective, because the word Lord in English has a particular context and has it calls to mind and evokes a certain other understanding, particularly now, because in the time of, even as early as the Elizabethan era, it was not uncommon to address one another as my lord or my lady. This was a very common thing to do. It didn't necessarily mean any great thing. It wasn't until this kind of idea of the servant lord or the this religious realm of the mortal and the deity relationship. So, but there are people, like you said, there are certain congregations that encourage and even expect for the women to address their issues as Lord in English, or if they choose not to. So, yeah, I mean, that's not something that I haven't seen, and I don't find this. I think that for me, what makes it problematic is the way that it is packaged to the women. And it doesn't, although you hear this kind of thought that it's an option, like this, and there are all of these criteria that ostensibly should be in place, but then you also hear this kind of narrative, and I'm grateful that Brother Awar went before us, because he, for me, he's like the fossil of my original experiences, and every time I hear him speak out, I get to reminisce about that era, because he brings back so vividly those days. And what he shared with the listening audience is very much what came in the new Hebrew woman welcome package. Is you call your man Lord, and then there's this, and when Sarah did it, she was so extra special righteous, and this is emblematic of some higher ascension in your righteousness, the litmus test for sincerity, and that then there's the idea that, but the man has to be, it's kind of like a caveat, it's like the fine print at the bottom, the guy should be worthy of it, or somehow have been demonstrates that he is suitable for this kind of salutation. But then what goes along with that is that how many men don't consider themselves suitable? You would then have to argue who's suitable. So even with that kind of caveat, it's really kind of a straw kind of clause, because most of the men in the truth consider themselves worthy of it. So that goes, and then from there, again, as the brother pointed out, this idea really gets traction from the New Testament, in specific that particular verse in First Peter, and he makes these assertions about Sarah. Sarah, these things that he is trying to push, these traits that he is trying to push. He then says Sarah, and ties it with Sarah calling Abraham Lord. Now, for me, this is not really an issue. My main concern is these issues of balance. This idea that the man has to have a particular respect in it. So there's no balance in these discussions. But the other thing that I think needs to be revisited is that Peter says that Sarah called that Ima Sarai called Abraham Lord, and you heard Brother Ahwar come up with this entire spiel on why she did it, when she did it, how she did it, and what Abraham did to deserve being called this. But when we go back and see the instance that we are talking about, it becomes a question of dialogue versus monologue. A monologue is something that she's doing. And in the case that we're talking about, Sarah is having an internal monologue. This is not a discussion she's having with Abraham. Ima Sarai is in her head assessing the situation, and she refers to him as Lord. But we have actual dialogue, conversations, where Ima Sarai is engaging with Abraham, and she's speaking to him. And in none of the dialogues do we find her addressing him as Lord. And I think that's worth considering, because these things don't happen. So this idea that she calls him Lord where and to whom? If he never hears it, if she's not saying it when she's talking to him, and it's some reference to him in her head while she's talking to herself, and not when she's talking to him, do we really, where is the emphasis on making this normalized really coming from? We don't see it when Raquel is talking to Yaakov about her being pregnant. We don't see it when Rebecca's talking. We don't see Hannah refer to Elkanah as Lord. She does refer to, Elijah? Whichever priest she's referring to, she calls him Lord. Abigail doesn't call Nabal Lord, but she does call David Lord. So I think that this idea of calling men and your husband Lord, I think that a lot of it gets kind of created from this one assertion that Peter makes many hundreds of years later after the fact. And he makes this assertion in this one letter. We tend to forget these are letters. In this one letter, for this one sentence. And it's like we base our whole entire guidance on what we're going to do next based on that. And I think it's better or worth considering the body of the text. We have all of these other examples of women talking to their husbands, and yet this Lord salutation is not normalized in any way in the text. For my opening statement, I would put forth those considerations just to kind of recite some of the conversation with the gentlemen, the brothers that we have on the air, and obviously the listening audience. I'm sure there's someone seizing behind their devices now, like Mayanah is so totally full of shoot. We really need to get her back on her feet. So
watch your mouth.
So before, those are my opening thoughts. Again, I'm putting them forward for consideration. It's not to say that my sisters that refer to their husbands in this way or to their issues in this way are doing something wrong, but rather to really go back and think about why they are doing it, and is the evidence they have received actually found in the text, or is it some extrapolation from 1 Peter, like what we heard from Ahwar a little bit earlier in the broadcast. And with that, I yield the floor.
Like, Mayanah just busted the whole thing open because she dropped something, made me have to go for my script. Like, hold on. that whole conversation about whether or not she's having an internal dialogue, like, to be continued. We're gonna have to come there on the second round, but you gave a lot of information to consider as we go forward. And once again, like you're saying, contextually, is this something that, again, like the text says, 2 or 3 witnesses establish a matter. So is this something that we see continually throughout the text that establishes this precedent, or are we taking one occurrence and then again, as Ahwar brought up the First Peter conversation, and making it something like, in some places, making it, not even suggesting it, but making it something that people, women specifically, have to comply with? Question. Brother Mercy. How you doing, Brother Mercy? The mic is yours. What are your thoughts? Have you seen this? Are you familiar with this? Let us know your thoughts.
Yes. Thank you. I would like to present a series of verses just to, give my evidence, because I know you ladies love to study the scriptures, so I'm going to go ahead and give you a round of scriptures. All right. Genesis 18:12, Sarah calls Abraham Adonai. Numbers 12:11, Aaron called Moses Adonai, Adon. Jacob called Esau that name, Genesis 32:40. David called Saul, 1 Samuel 24:8. And Hazael became king of Assyria, called Elisha that name in 2 Kings 8:12. So there's a round of verses for you in case you want to go check about how many people were called that name. Now, let me add context to my words. Because in Matthew 15:8, and now I'm about to make my point, he says, these people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Now, let's go to the 1 Peter 3:5. Because Peter says something very interesting. I'm going to start at verse 1. Wives, in the same way, submit yourselves to your own husbands, so that if any of them do not believe the word, they may be won over without words. So her uttering these words, I don't understand the practice. Okay? I don't understand the Hebrew Israelite making a rule that your wives call you Lord when Peter stated in the first verse that she will honor you without words. Okay, so like your sister stated, she did it in her mind. So okay, now they may be won over without words, but by the behavior of their wives, when they see the purity and reverence of your lives, your beauty should not come from outward adornment. So this words thing, calling him Lord, is an outward thing. It's something people can hear. But Sarah was inward. Why? Because she said it in her mind. Such as elaborate hairstyles and the wearing of gold jewelry or fine clothes, rather should be that of her inner self, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is a great work in God's sight. For this is, I love what Peter says, the way the holy women of the past, these women of the past, that's what they did in the past, old days, guys, who put their hope in God used to adorn themselves, they submitted themselves to their own husbands. Like Sarah, watch this, I love verse 6, who obeyed Abraham and called him her Lord, you or her daughters, you do what's right, do not give way to fear. Now, Genesis 18, in closing, Genesis 18, if we go back and read that story, we go to chapter 18, it's interesting because Sarah, at this time, is receiving news that she will have a child, and she laughs. Then, after that, she says, after I worn out my Lord is old, now when I have this pleasure, the Lord said to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh and say, will I really have a child now that I'm old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? So, Sarah, then in verse 15, Sarah's afraid, so she lied and said, I did not laugh. But he said, yes, you did laugh. So I find this interesting. We're using Sarah as our example, and she's telling lies. So, in the context of calling her husband Lord. So it doesn't sound like a very substantial, concrete example that I would use to support the law that the wife should call their husbands Lord, because if we see in this example, she laughs and then she lies about it. So, I find it interesting because I'm like, she may be calling him Lord, but at the same time, and then let's go back even further. Remember when she was barren, she could have a child? Now, then she told Abraham to sleep with her handmaid. It's like she's giving him orders. I mean, it just seems like that. So it doesn't seem like a master-slave relationship because she tells him what to do at times. You'll see that and in the story. But that's all I want to say. Brother Mercy's out.
All right, now we stirring up this pot right now because a lot of people, like Mayanah said, they're gonna be a little uncomfortable. They may be switching, you know what I'm saying, start pacing the floor on this conversation because as we do here at the Relationship Challenge, we examine some of the things that have become this oppressive weight on the minds and bodies and souls of both men and women. You know what I'm saying? And just going back into simplicity, like I've read this narrative many times, but when Sister Mayanah just said it and Brother Mercy brought it out again, I'm like, you know what? They're right. She was speaking within her own consciousness, within her own mind. And what Brother Mercy just brought up about the other spaces, and I'm going to come to Ahwar, the other spaces within the text, that the title of Adon was not reserved solely for someone's husband. Like I came from a Knesset back in Brooklyn where the men refer to each other as Adon, as a showing of respect. But when you take it out of the context, like you said, like Yaakov, he bowed down to Esau and called Esau Adon. But when you take it out of context and to say that this is only reserved in this space to restrict you in a marital area, and it's a forced subjugation, it becomes problematic. And the question is, does it make for a positive environment in which to grow upright children, or does it make for a repressive environment in which to have all of these maladaptive behavioral patterns develop? Because we're talking about why do we do the Relationship Challenge. For those who are new to the season, you know, this is our first time on the air in 2017, is that we're talking about things that are stumbling blocks in our community. And the relationship, the man and the woman, is the basis, is the foundation of building up a community. The Most High is the foundation, but man and woman bring forth child. And so if this relationship is injured and it's not repaired, then we cannot bring forth healthy children. And then, therefore, our nation will be in problems. And so the things that we bring up here are because they are floating around, not only in the blogosphere, but actually in physical locations. And people feel like they have to run away now. Not only do they run away from the, quote, culture, they run away from their walk. They run away from the Creator. And it's not just because they're imagining stuff. This is stuff people are actually doing. Like Brother Ahwar said, people would jump up and bow down. People would jump up like if they see the person enter the room, you act like you saw a ghost or something. It's this relationship where the mutualness of that marriage is not there, you know. And when that happens, the mother or the feminine principle, she cannot fully do her job. And so these are the things that we're talking about today. I'm gonna come to Brother Ahwar, and what are your thoughts on that one, Brother Ahwar? I believe you're the one who went to 1 Peter. What are your thoughts on the fact that the conversation is that Sarah was speaking in her own head and there's no evidence of her actually calling Father Abraham Adon?
Okay. Here's my thing on that, right? Well, actually, the way she approached that situation in her mind was more powerful than her actually saying it. I'm going to show you why. This is Matthew 15, verses 18. It says, "But those things which proceed out of the mouth come forth from the heart." So that's where it was at first. It was in her heart. She didn't utter it in her speech, but that's how she felt in her heart. And that's more concrete than anything. Like I could say, I love you, right? But if I don't feel it in my heart, it doesn't have substance. So if I never say I love you, but my actions prove I love you, that's more concrete. Anybody can say they love me, but if it's in your heart, your actions going to prove forth. So that's what it was with her. It was in her heart, which was more important than her actually saying it in my case. And I'm not going to go with that. I agree. She really felt that way, even though she didn't say it. I'm going to pass the mic.
Okay, Ahwar. I hear you. let's possibly go to Bereshit Genesis 16, where she actually is having. And I'm gonna come to Sister Mayanah, and then we're gonna check on the phone line. Check on Brother Sai. He's been pretty quiet. We're gonna go to Bereshit 16, right, where she's actually speaking to Father Abraham. And 16:2 says, and Sarah said unto Abraham, behold now. So in this conversation where she's actually speaking to him, even though in her heart she says, she's referring to him as Adon, when she's actually speaking to him, she says, Hine na, right? Behold. When they say Hine, it means like behold, look. You know what I'm saying? Look. So I think it's wild because some people will be like, oh, that was bad rules. How did she just roll up on him and say, now look now, you know what I'm saying? I'm getting old and this is a bug. And then this is how the text reveals the conversation starts. What are your thoughts on that? Like, it wasn't, I would say this. We see a difference in when Bathsheba with Nathan approaches Dawid. You know what I'm saying? When she's trying to remind Dawid that you said it was going to be Shlomo. You remember that text? And so they approach the king like, yo, can I speak? And he's like, yeah, you can speak. Go ahead. And it's a different interaction because the man who she had child by is actually the, quote, man king. And you see a different interaction than you do here when Sarah is saying, Hine na. You know what I'm saying? Like, look now. You know what I mean? What are your thoughts, Brother Ahwar?
Read that one more time. And where you at? You said
Genesis 16, Bereshit 16:2. It says, and Sarai said unto Abraham, behold now, the most I have restrained me from bearing. I pray you, go in unto my handmaid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abraham hearkened to the voice of Sarai. Like, he didn't even need no pushing on that one, but I'm just saying we're not going there. But the text is just saying that she was like, look, because that's a good, Hine means to behold, to look, And this is how she starts talking to him. So I heard what you said as it relates to what was in her heart. But when she actually spoke, this is how she's speaking. And I'm asking, what are your thoughts?
Oh, well, I look at that as that's a different situation because you have more emotions tied into that because she couldn't reproduce at that point. And you're talking about another woman being involved. So the way to me, this is my understanding. She came in a manner of frustration as well. But she came with the hold on, the whole. That's what I see. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I see.
Okay. Thank you for that, Sister Mayanah. Your thoughts on that? You brought that out. Like I said, you just dropped it early in the show. It's a good thing to meditate on, being that that's the whole thing that a lot of people are hinging.
Right.
That's the whole thing that the doctrine is hinged on. And so shining a new light on that gives something to think about. What are your thoughts as the conversation develops?
Well, as you know, the name of my business is Genesis 2. And so that's because, it has been my work to kind of interrogate the masculine and feminine interactions. And so this is one of the things that all praises the Most High revealed to me. And I think that I'm glad that you brought out 16:16 is right here on my list to bring out. And when we have the introduction of her speaking out loud, which is why I wanted us to kind of revisit the ideas of monologue versus dialogue, we see that when there's a dialogue happening and there's an opportunity for her to actually call him Lord, as Peter suggests, she doesn't. And she doesn't do it in 16, and she doesn't do it in 21. In 21, and Bereshit 21, this is when she says, let's see, and she said, who would have said unto Abraham that I should have given him children to Saul? Oh, no, that's when, what's her name? That's Hagar. When she goes and she decides that Hagar has become disrespectful to her, and she goes to address Abraham, again, there's no Lord, none of that. She says, my wrong be on you. I mean, it's very direct. There's no there's no prefacing. There's no, warming him up or soothing his ego before she brings her complaint to him. Now, the first thing that she does in 16, this doesn't suggest that it's not that she's having any pain, but she's saying, this is a fact. Behold, the Most High has kept me from bearing. So at this point, she's solution-minded. okay, so we know that you are supposed to have this offspring. This is the terms of the environment, because they lived in a time and a space where using someone that you own, she owned Hagar. You know, we know this because she was her master. And she owned the labor of Hagar, including her reproductive labor. And for this reason, she was in the position to say, I have access to this, and I'm going to give it to you. She's not, at this point, she's solution-minded. She's not in her feelings. She's being very practical. She's having a practical approach to this. I thought that was interesting that, and important, that Brother Mercy brought out there, Ima Sarai laughs. He didn't do it, but sometimes they just brought out that Ima Sarai laughs, and it's for God having a crisis of faith, and it's somehow a negative reflection on her, without acknowledging and remembering that Abraham also laughed. Not only did he laugh, but it says that he laughed putting his head to the ground. That this is how unbelievable. And this is a conversation. Now, Ima Sarai is overhearing a conversation. She's not engaged. This is not a conversation she was included in. She's behind, wherever she is, and she's overhearing something. So, but Abraham is in direct conversation with the Creator and laughs. That's like having somebody laugh in your face when you're making a serious declaration. And Abraham doesn't take him serious. In fact, no matter how many, and the Creator has to insist it's going to be Sarai. And Abraham, don't even hurt yourself. Just give it to Ishmael. Ishmael's already here. It doesn't have to be her. And he's fighting against the Most High will. The Most High is saying, it's going to be Sarai. Abraham is saying, nah, don't worry about that. Just go ahead and bless the child that I already have. And this conversation goes back and forth, and the Most High has to advocate for his daughter several times. And so this idea that, Ima Sarai laughed. Abraham laughed also. So that needs to be remembered. Okay, so I wanted to put that out there because very often that's not part of the conversation. In terms of this idea, I like that Ahwar later says that she calls him Adon in her head, and that's somehow more powerful than saying it out loud. But the discussion is because the women are being encouraged to say it out loud. Their fidelity, their loyalty, their other actions are not enough. The men want to hear it. That's why we have it in the title. Should we call him Lord? Should we call him? Who's your master? Because the men like to hear it. They want to hear it. The women know it. What happens? You go down the timeline. I cannot wait to see my king. I cannot wait to get my king. So those that don't say Adon, say Malak. They want to be called. They call these men kings. The fact that this is not a reciprocal conversation kind of gets pushed into a point. I think sometime during this broadcast we will maybe address reciprocity and redundancy and this type of balance, because these things are important too. But going back to the conversation, in the 21st chapter, when Ima Sarai is not being solution-minded and she has a problem, she is not being passive in this. She's not suffering wrongfully in a corner or a closet. Instead, she goes to him and says, my wrong be upon you. My wrong is on you. The violence and insult, this is on you. And then later, when it's time, when she does have her son, she wants Hagar to be expelled from the home. Again, there's this other very assertive position that Ima Sarai takes. And says, I will not have my son be heir with Hagar and her son. This is a position that she takes. And I find that it's very interesting that Peter says whose daughters you are, Sarah, whose daughters you are. And the only thing that women are encouraged to duplicate about Sarah is this supposed passiveness associated with calling him Lord. Again, we have to remember this is happening inside her head. The things she says outside, the things that Abraham appears to actually have to be dealing with, is a very assertive, a very solution-minded, a very a woman that knows, how she feels and how, and she doesn't shy away from communicating those things with her husband, and we don't see anywhere in Genesis, in Torah, in Bereshit, where this kind of characteristics is considered not feminine, not righteous, not appropriate, and is punished in any way. Indeed, when Sarah says, I don't want her or this child in this house, when Abraham goes to consult the Creator, he says, listen to your wife. So there's no negative connotation to these other aspects of Ima Sarai, which are clearly delineated in Bereshit. Instead, we get this emphasis on a supposition and an implication that isn't actually found in the text. And then, we can go into all the other instances where, like you said, and like Brother Mercy has said, that this calling the masculine principle Adon isn't unique to the husband-wife relationship, and it's reproduced in other spaces for other reasons between other peoples. And so, again, we have to really kind of rethink why we are emphasizing this kind of conversation. Is it because there is an extrapolation being made by that part of Peter, which is great that Brother Mercy brought out that part had a precedent, that something that preceded that. So are we mistaken in the reason why we do it? Because I'm a fan of people saying I'm doing it because I want to. If you want to call your Ish, Adon, King, Pumpkin, Puppy, these are things that you like to call him, and this is part of your relationship, and this is your give and take, then I can't imagine coming to you and having an issue with it. Like I said, I have sisters who are in loving relationships that don't feel abused at all and enjoy calling their husbands Lord and Adon and Adawanya. It makes them feel loving and sunshiny on the inside. But it's your reason. If your reason is, First Peter said so, if your reason is the general, the deacon, the high, whoever, says that this is the litmus test for righteousness, then, darling, you really must reconsider what you are entering into. And with that, I yield the mic.
All right. We have a lot of questions, but I'm not going to ask them yet. And hopefully they don't run off out of my mind. Thank you for that, Sister Mayanah, before. And it's really, as you're saying, this reimagining of Ima Sarah that becomes problematic when you actually read the text. And, we're taking a look at it today. So thank you for those who've just joined in. This is Debate Talk for You. I forget the episode. What episode is this? Brother Sal, you there? Let's get the episode and the title real quick. Episode 26. And for those who just joined in, what's the title, Brother Sal?
Who's your master? Should we call the man Lord?
What's your thoughts, Brother Sal? I'll put you on the spot today. I'll put you on the spit out today, Brother Sal. What are your thoughts before we go to the phone line?
Hey, listen, I'm just doing my social media thing, you know what I'm saying? Know that number, 319-527-6239.
You wiggling out.
Feel free to call in.
Negative. I'm not letting you off. When we first proposed this title to you were quite excited. You had a lot to say. And in fact, you took the helm in promoting it this time. We're usually the ones trying to get that out there. So I think that maybe we took a unexpected turn, as Emunah has intimated, that maybe I put a little kind of salt in the game. And so did I pour cold water on the excitement up?
Oh, like I said, I'm just a promoter, you know.
Oh,
I'm just a promoter.
You take it.
My name is Minute.
You wiggling out. You wiggling out. Yeah, Brother Sal, he was like, "You must die." He was laughing.
You're trying to get Sal a frying pan. What's y'all doing?
We put Brother Sal in the hot seat. He in the hot seat.
We're going to talk about narcissism again to get him excited.
But Brother Sal, is everybody on the phone line?
Yeah, I see a lot of people on the phone lines, but again, if you want to chime in, people, you got to press number 1. and then we'll add you in the conversation. Again, that number 319-527-6239. By the way, the chat room is open. The chat room is officially open. If you want to gain access to the chat room, you got to go to the website, www.blogtalkradio.com/debate talk for you. Click on the show, and then you can chat with us or anybody that's inside the chat room. And, of course, I'll read your questions out to the panel. And, of course, I have my email, debatetalkforyou@gmail.com, if you have any questions. And nobody's pressing number 1, so you can go ahead.
Okay, so as it relates to my question, the other side, I'm going to come to Brother Mercy. The other side, the question is, as we're looking at the go-to scripture for why the woman should call the man Lord, and we already examined, thanks to Sister Mayanah, that this was an internal dialogue. But what goes with the other side of not succumbing to sometimes in some spaces this forced, camp doctrine is that if she doesn't, she's a Jezebel, she's rebellious, she's all of these things. So my question is now, looking back at the narrative and looking how Iman Sarai is interacting with her husband, would some of these same men call her these things? Brother Mercy, what's your thought?
I wanted to say real quick, Sarah, before her name was changed, the Most High changed her name. Her name, because you alluded to the fact that she was assertive. You alluded to the fact that she was a problem solver. You alluded to the fact that she took a position. But some scholars think the name Sarah before it was changed meant contention or quarrelsome. So this was a quarrelsome wife, I think. We can see that clearly in the story. First, she tells Abraham to sleep with her handmaid. It doesn't create a happy situation. And it doesn't problem solve. It creates greater problems, actually. I just wanted to put that out there. Because that's why we got all the problems in the Middle East today, because of Sarah and Abraham. But I just wanted to say, that let's not forget that this created a big problem. But I like how Peter says it, though. He says Sarah was obedient to Abraham. I like that. That's cute. But it was all her idea, though. But I thought it was cute that he said that she was obedient to him by calling him Lord, So, this whole thing about men wanting the women to give them word praise or word worship, that could be dangerous. Because when someone gives me a compliment, Brother Mercy gets on the defense. I'm just saying, I do that. I'm sorry, I don't mean to do that, but I do that because I don't know your intentions. Because sometimes people give you compliments, but they don't always have great intentions. So, I'm not saying Sarah had bad intentions. I'm not saying that at all. I think she had good intentions, but her problem-solving skills created more problems. So, and Abraham, I see Abraham in this. Of course, he didn't fight. He didn't fight her. He didn't say, "No, I'm not going to sleep with your handmaid." He could have been the Lord or the Adonai and said, "Oh no, woman, I will not obey your voice. I am the man of this house." But he didn't do that for some strange reason. To her, I did. It sounded good, I guess, to Abraham to sleep with the handmaid. So, I guess, my take on the whole thing is, I like how Peter phrases things, but we got to be careful because I see Peter saying something totally different. I see Peter saying, yes, she's a good wife and all those great things, but also I see Peter saying that because of what they did, it created a lot of problems, and we should obey the Most High. We really should. And so I don't think Sarah should be used as an example to promote a law saying the women should call their husbands Adonai, But that's just my take. But that's my take, and that's it.
All
right,
let me
now,
interject real quick, Emunah. I just want to let you know we do
ahead,
have
now.
a few people pressing number 1. That's all.
Oh,
you
boy.
know, people pressing number 1. That's all. People pressing number
No,
1.
no,
So whenever you're ready,
we gonna come to them. I think Brother Mercy just stirred up some stuff because, again, yes, when you do look up Sarai's name before she got the hay and became Sarai, it does mean contentious. You know, it has this negative connotation, and so what he's bringing out, sometimes we get to a bit of, and I'm going to say it might further stir the pot, ancestor worship, where it is that we are looking back and overlooking the mistakes that our foreparents made and look to do the exact same thing because our foreparents did it. When wisdom is that we're supposed to look at what happened, assess the situation, and see whether or not doing the same thing will get the same result. And if the result was something like Brother Mercy brought out that was problematic, it was one that caused more issues, it compounded issues, we have to bethink ourselves. And that's one of the things I don't see happening a lot. And one of the excuses is, well, David did it. You know, well, Yaakov did it. Well, and then we're not looking at the end of the matter. You know what I'm saying? And the end of the matter is in these situations, like Brother Mercy just said, Ishmael became a problem. And the whole reason that the Most High, that Sarai said you got to get rid of Ishmael is because he became a problem. And sometimes when we go about things in our own way, we create these problems, and then we ask the Most High to deal with them. You understand what I'm saying? And so I think for me, if we don't get the moral from the story, if we don't learn from the story, if we don't see what happened or what could have happened or what way can you have made it better, the testimony is for our learning, not for us to repeat the very same mistakes that our foreparents made. And so with that said, you know, Brother Sal, the phone line, if you may.
All right, we're going to go to the phones. Again, the number is 319-527-6239. Feel free to call in. And once you dial that number, you got to press number 1 for the first-time listeners. You got to press number 1, and we'll add you in the conversation. However, we appreciate all the people that's listening to the show via phone and via Skype. Let's go to the phone. Let's go to 716-541. You're live on air.
Thank you for taking my call. I would like to ask the question, what does Ephesians 5:4 mean when it says one Lord, one faith, and one baptism? Now, like I said, I really wouldn't feel comfortable if I was to address like my pastor or a leader as Lord. Is that the same thing?
Good question. Let's see if Brother Ahwar would want to, or whoever would like to answer that question. I guess I'll do it like that. Go ahead. The mic is open.
Yeah, answer it again. What was your question again? Say it one more time.
In the Bible, it says that we have one Lord, one faith, and one baptism. And I was saying that, you know, I don't feel comfortable with calling like my pastor or leader Lord.
Oh, I got you. So are you referring it like to a husband as well?
Well, that's what the context should have been when Sarah said it. It was like submission and respect, but overall, you can't say that because you can't call your leader or your pastor Lord. So you really can't do it.
Right. But like as they were saying,
in your
like
marriage,
right. The Lord is really, like they showed other context that word was used in, like certain men called certain men Lord as far as authority. It's like referring to authority. They have authority over them too. So it's using more than just one context, So that's why I know what you're saying, but in the case of the woman calling her husband that, I personally think it was dope because it was good because, she told Abraham, like, look, I can't have kids, but go into my handmaid. That's powerful to me for a woman to do that because she saw the vision. She saw the big picture of the inheritance that child was supposed to get. So she saw the big picture. And most of the great women of ancient times of the Bible, they see the big picture down the line. Like when Rebecca did what she did when she clothed I think it was Jacob to be like Esau. She saw the big picture. She took initiative. That's all. But somebody else can go ahead. I'm past the mic.
Well, this is Mayanah speaking. Caller, thank you very much for your question. I in speaking to your example of the discomfort of calling your pastor or some type of religious leader Lord, that's exactly what Hannah did, though. Whereas we see that, and I'm not saying that you need to or you should or whatever. I just want to give you something to consider, that where we see in 1 Samuel, where Hannah is talking to her husband, we don't see any conversation about Lord, but when her husband Elkanah, but when Eli asks her, "How long will you be drunk? Put away thy wine from thee." And Hannah answered. This is the 14th and 15th verse of the first chapter of 1 Samuel. And Hannah answered and said, "No, my Lord, I am a woman of a sorrowful spirit. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but I have poured out my soul before thee," which is Lord. So this word is used specifically to a priest in the Tanakh. So I understand it. It sounds like you are your question was born from the epistolaries, the so-called New Testament, and so I can hear your concern, but we don't see that concern in the Tanakh because, as we've been discussing, this word Adon didn't carry any particularities. It wasn't specific to any particular context other than there was a relationship and there was a dialogue and there was some type of, in these cases, these voiced cases, where she's talking to the high priest, where Bathsheba is talking to the king, where even Abigail calls Dawid Adon, but she calls her own husband that man. She doesn't say my husband, that man. That's how she refers to her own husband. So this is why we're having these conversations about the emphasis on forcing or encouraging women to call their husbands Lord. I want to speak also just to kind of give you something else to think about with regard to what Ahwar has said. And even what Brother Mercy has said, I want to put a little kind of what Imam Sarai has done, when she made that decision, was not something that she was not following her own will. She didn't make it up. It didn't come out of the thin air. They lived in a place where it was the law. So there's no reason to guess as to what the idea was. There's no reason to guess why Abraham didn't fight her on it. It was normative. The people around them were doing it. It was part of the Hammurabi Code, which was the law of the land where they inhabited. We find later on throughout Torah, the Most High consistently telling us, listen, stop following the people who you are sharing culture areas with. This becomes something that the Most High repeats because we were inclined to do so. We don't have to wonder why the people are doing this. And like Sister Emunah says, this idea of, to go back to the idea of ancestor worship, is because we forget that we are not, just because we are Hebrews, we are not a perfect people. We serve a perfect power. So the people that we come into contact with throughout the Tanakh and the epistolaries and the epistolaries is that they are imperfect people, and all of their decisions are not reflecting just because they're reflecting necessarily the will of the Most High, but they don't exist in a vacuum. None of us exist in a vacuum. None of our ancestors existed in a vacuum, and they were operating under the laws that they were around. And even now, we struggle to not blur those lines. And so, Imam Sarai did something that was common. And it's not like Imam Sarai was alone in it. We see that Rachel and Leah do the same thing. And so this is something that is happening culturally, and it's a shared cross-cultural practice. It's not something that is just a crisis of intelligence or anything else. There were functional reasons, tactical reasons, and just kind of contextual reasons for why these things are occurring. There was another thought that I wanted to have to address the things that the gentlemen have been saying. I'm sure they'll repeat it, and I'll address it at that time. But prayerfully, the responses that you have received so far have been helpful to your question. If not, by all means, press us further.
Yeah, when we go back to the caller, 716, do you want to ask any further questions? You can go ahead.
Well, in Genesis 14:8, Sarah overheard the conversation that Abraham was having, and she referred to the Most High as Lord. So that's the reference, right? Is that Tanakh of Genesis?
Genesis is Torah. But what is
I'm
your
a sister, not a brother. I'm sorry, my voice is a little deep.
No, I said that it was not. I didn't refer to you as a brother. My apologies for not being clearer.
Well, no, it's plenty of references. That's what I'm saying. That speaks to the Most High. You know.
Well,
so for you know.
Can I share? Go ahead.
Well, I'll make. Well, yeah, absolutely. Sister Emunah will have brilliant insights for you. What I want to make clear for you is that we are not discounting or in any way diminishing the fact that the title of Adon is commonly and belongs to the Creator, but there's no debate in that respect. We absolutely, I think they uniformly agree that one of the ways in which we addressed and referred to our power was by calling him Adon. I think that what I'm receiving from you is that there's an exclusivity that belongs to the Creator, and that title should not be transferred to other spaces. And is that what you mean?
Well, not me personally, but that's what the scriptures say. Not me, the scripture.
Can I say something?
We're having this conversation because we see that the word Lord is given and used without any kind of issue. In other instances, the way the text or the translators try to make sense of that is they play with grammar and give you uppercase and lowercase Lord, but in Hebrew it's all Adon.
My brother made a good point, though. I didn't think about that. That is right, because Lord does mean Adonai. So, you know what I mean? Can I call my husband Adonai? Because that's what it means, Lord.
Right. That's why we're having the conversation, sister. Because maybe I'm not clear. Maybe you came into the conversation later, but that's why we're having the conversation, because our sisters are very often encouraged to call their husbands Adon, Adonai, Adonai, Adawan, because of an extrapolation from 1 Peter and the assumed example of Ima Sarai in Bereshit. I don't want to take time away from Sister Emunah. Sister Emunah, what was it that you wanted to say?
Can I have that verse in 1 Peter? Just for future reference. I mean, you said 1 Peter, but you know it's a lot of books, right? 1 Peter and what?
3, 5, and 6.
1 Peter what?
1 Peter 3, 5, and 6.
Okay, I just wanted to go to later. 3, 5, and 6. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Sister Emunah, are you there?
Yeah, Ken. Thank you, caller. Thank you for calling in. Again, the concern is one. That's why, as Sister Mayanah says, we're having this conversation. As she already stated, the translators sometimes transposed what is the Tetragrammaton or the Yod He Wav He with all capital Lord, and it often makes the differentiation when it's speaking about lowercase Lord as it relates to mankind. And if you have an interlineal text, I know some people, they'll go back and forth with the Hebrew, but if you have an interlinear text, or if you have some type of app that you're able to look at the verses that you're looking at specifically side by side, you will be able to see whether or not it actually says Adonai or Adon, or does it say the Yod He Wav He. And this is important because the English is not going to totally bear this out. You actually have to go into the Hebrew and bear it out. And even if you're a beginner Hebrew, and if you only know your Aleph Beit, you shall be able to say if something is saying Yod He Wav He or if something is saying Adon. And so I would just suggest that to all the people who may be listening on the line, as we all don't have all the answers, and it is something that we have to make sure that we are not transgressing before the Creator, especially in this space where it is kind of like exaltation to a God-like status, bow down, fall on the ground and worship. That's kind of like exaltation to the person wanting to put themselves like outside of the relationship, and that person becomes a god for the woman. And so this is where the conversation kind of leads to, and I want to thank the caller for questioning and asking questions. But once again, one more thing I wanted to say, and then I'll go ahead and pass the mic over to check who else is on the line. I'm a beginner Hebrew person. Like I've been a beginner for years, right? But when you look in the Hebrew, it also determines if it's just calling the person the noun like Lord or my Lord, and or you calling the person woman or my woman, which would be wife, because woman and wife is the same word, Isha, in Hebrew. And this also is important as well. You know what I'm saying? Because one shows that you're just acknowledging somebody, the other shows that you're like kind of claiming ownership. And so this is all part of the studying process. It's not just, whip out my book. Oh, yeah, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? And this is why we have 50 million understandings, because the very basis of studying the text, everybody's just coming to their own understanding and not really systematically going into the text and breaking down what it actually is saying for the time it was written. So with that said, I'll relinquish the mic. We'll check back on. I think Brother Ahwar wanted to say something, and then we'll go to Sal to see if we have any more hands up. Brother Ahwar,
No, you can go ahead.
Okay, you good? All right, Brother Sal, you there? We still got hands in the air?
Yeah, we had a few people that pressed number one, but I guess they, got themselves off. But again, if you want to, chime in, just press number one. We'll add you in if you already called in. If you're listening on social media, though, the number is 319-527-6239. Nobody else pressed number one, so you can go ahead.
Did we scare them off? We scared them off? They jumped back out the queue like, nah, we ain't going there. Okay, no problem. We'll continue the conversation. Again, why are we having this conversation? When you're dealing with, and I'm gonna give my little spiel, and I'm open the mic for whoever would like to say. When you're dealing with a people who are just happening upon, unless you're first generation, we have some of those. We have some second generation, but we have a lot of brand new people who this is not the culture you were born and raised in. And even if it is the culture that you're born and raised in, a lot of the residuals from the Deuteronomy 28 thought process, from the curses, are still upon us. And unless we have gone through the systematic approach to healing and returning to the Creator wholeheartedly, we're carrying the residuals and the sins of our foreparents. Regardless of how many, shamas you would like to say, when people step outside of their, quote, religious spaces, they still have personality issues. They still have, DNA, debris. They still have all of these things in which, if we don't work on them, we bring them into our relationships. And the reason why this is important is because if you have a man who may hate his mother, or may have been left by his father, and now he's in a relationship and he knows all the right things to say, he studied all the scripts and he knows exactly what to tell you. In his mind, this forcing you to call him Lord is more than just, because Sarah did it. Do you understand what I'm saying? My point is, a lot of the things that we're seeing forced in the community is not for righteousness' sake. A lot of the things that we're seeing forced in the community is to further subjugate others because you still feel subjugated. Further oppress others because you feel oppressed. And this exploitation of one another does not lead to healing. What it leads to is a whole lot of madness that we see on YouTube, Facebook, Blog Talk, in all of these areas. We see stories of, oh my goodness, I can't believe he did this. This is my coming out video. This is the kind of stuff we see. Why? Because we think that just because we've read the text, that we're automatically going to transform. And this is why I think this conversation is very important, and those like it Because the question is, are we doing this in righteousness, or are we doing this onto ourselves and leading into a form of self-worship? Who should I ask? Who would like to talk on that a little bit? The mic is open. Y'all want me to call somebody name? Anybody, Brother Mercy? Are you still there?
Yeah, I'll say something.
All right, go ahead, Ahwar.
You know what I noticed, like in my journey in Israel, from the oppression of the women, that part, cats be, like I told you, the guy, had his woman when he come through the door, get down and call me Lord. But they never talk about the balance part, like they don't talk about, like I think it was either Isaac, one of them. When he got his wife, he gave some jewels and some money to the family. I forget who it was. I'm brain a little soft, but see, there's Isaac, right? It was Isaac, right? He gave that bread, and the whole thing. A lot of cats don't talk about that part. They want to put all that stuff part. But these men like Abraham, Isaac, all them great brothers, they had these beautiful wives. Their wives were good. They took care of them, and they had wealth. They leave that part out. A lot of them cats be trying to oppress them sisters like that and have them on welfare and food stamps. See, they leave that part out. And there's a lot of foolishness with that. So I just wanted to bring that out. They never implement the balance. Like when you take that authority, there's a lot of responsibility that come with that too. You're supposed to take care of your wife, make sure she have everything. That's why I went back into that whole willful thing of thinking about calling him Lord or calling him a Lord or thinking that's her Lord, because she felt secure with Abraham. Abraham was on point, and he was on point with the Most High, number one. So she felt safe. She wouldn't, a lot of these women don't feel safe with their men, but they forced to do that. But I'm just going to pass the mic.
I mean, Ahwar, you spoke to some real, and coming from a man, that's wow, because that's real. Like you said, a lot of women don't feel safe. There's no security. There's no reciprocity. It's just demanding. It's like demanding of the soil, but not putting any seeds there. Like, that's unrealistic. Now the soil begins to deplete itself, and you're reaping what you didn't sow, which is a level of robbery. You're asking for respect that you didn't put there. You're asking for dinner, but you don't bring any food. You know what I'm saying? You're asking to
right.
be, this is the stuff that's kind of going on, and we have to bring it all out, because, again, this is what is making the name of the Most High profane amongst the nations. People are looking, regardless of, and I can't say it enough. This is universal, this international airwaves. And though we are speaking to one another, there are people who are amongst us that are not you. And they're looking for a reason. They're looking for something to say, you see, aha, these are not the people of the Most High. Look how wild and crazy they are here. And when we go into these spaces, I've seen things on Facebook, and I'm like, yo, do you know that all manner of people are taking this in? It's not cute. And although it needs to be aired out, I don't know how cognizant we are of there are actual people who sit down and study everything it is that we do and say. We see it illustrated in Balak and Balaam. He says, come. You know what I'm saying? I need you to curse these people. He's like, yo, I can't curse them. He's like, all right, chill. Let me take you to a higher mountain. Let's go around the corner, and let me show you their weakness, and then I need you to get them. So, it behooves us as the Creator left on record to bethink ourselves. In these lands of our captivity, we've come to the point where we're justifying and glorifying some behavior that is very maladaptive and very problematic. And as a matter of fact, we're causing the name of the Most High to be profane amongst the nations. And this is, to my understanding, and then I'll pass the mic. I'll check on Sister Mayanah. When we see a lot of this confusion, about the name, now just imagine of somebody, you call the Most High this, you call the Most High, you see all this confusion. It says, do not take the name of the Most High in vain. It's third commandment. Imagine how much people will be guilty, state that we are in, of taking the name of the Most High in vain. It says the Most High will not hold him guiltless who take his name in vain. But yet still, we have people on street corners cursing out people, MF, da-da-da-da-dee-da-da, all of these things in the name of the Creator. We have people, like Ahwar says, putting people on welfare, breeding children like farms, leaving them as orphan and widows. Do you understand? In the name of the Creator. And people are looking and saying, this could never be the people. You know, and so we have to have 26 episodes of 26, and we're not even done yet. This is not like, oh, yeah, we're bored. You know, Emunah, Mayanah, Brother Ahwar, Brother Sal, you know, Mercy, they have absolutely nothing to do on a Monday night but to come on here and deal with errant doctrine. 26 episodes? That's a lot of episodes of errant doctrine, and we're still not done. The point being, the Most High said, when we bethink ourselves, not make reasons as, okay, you was promiscuous in the street, now I can have mad e-shots. All you did was transfer it. You changed nothing. This also is a problem in the community. And if we think as a people that we're going to advance in any way, to anywhere, we set a mistake, as they would say in Caribbean, because I don't know what else to say. You set a mistake. You are sadly mistaken if you think that this is the type of behavior that can run a righteous nation. It is not. And so I'm going to go ahead and get off my soapbox now, because I don't know who that was for. It's for all of us, including myself, because we need to turn our attentions. The Creator also left on record to say, when you and your children, there's a requirement, there's a mandate that your children return. So if the children are seeing the parents do all madness and your children refuse to return, you're back at square one again, because you have to have somebody to pass the baton on to. They need to see the benefit of keeping this law, even in the lands of our captivity. So, Sister Mayanah or Brother Mercy or the phone lines. Now, hold on, let me check on Brother Sal first. Brother Sal, are you there on the phone line? Do we have anybody? Yes, sir. Brother Sal? Okay, I don't know what Brother Sal is. He might be, he got lost out in the cyberspace. Brother Sal. Okay. He'll be back. Sister Mayanah, your thoughts on what Brother Ahwar said as it relates to, and, you know, we've had many of these conversations. It got so bad we had to do the spillover on Liberty Lessons on YouTube. Like, we had to spill over into that area and, like, do emergency conversations because it's like you can't keep up with it, and you can't actually chase every errant doctrine. And we're not like you know the Torah police, but the reality is the Most High says we must uphold justice. We must speak out when something is wrong. This is also a mandate. This is why in the book of Isaiah, the Most High said he looked down and saw none that did right. No, not one. And then he said he had to use his own hand to work salvation, because everybody went the way of the wind. And so when we see one another doing wrong, this whole, only God could judge me, that's a Tupac song, okay? Please stop it.
Right. Yeah, right.
We are called to hold one another accountable for the foolishness that we do, so that perchance we will bethink ourselves. It says if the wise man is reproved, he'll be wiser still. But the fool, when you reprove him, he's scornful. So the Torah calls us to be accountable for one another. Yeah, stop singing Tupac. But anyway, Sister Mayanah, sure.
Oh, God, keep
judging. Yeah, okay.
and we are inclined to quote Tupac before Torah in many instances, unfortunately. You know,
somebody gonna have a meme right after this show. They're gonna be like, "You can't judge me." Somebody gonna have a Tupac meme. Watch. But go ahead.
But Ahwar, very necessarily, you know, and again, you have to appreciate and thank him for bringing these things, introducing these things into the conversation, because the fact is, and the reason, you know, we're on our 26th episode, and the reason that there is this type of spillage into our other media outlets on YouTube and these different segments is because women are receiving a lot of bad information. And it's not to say that the men don't receive that information, but the men receive different kind of bad information. And this sort of misinformation or disinformation trickles down to the women, sometimes from misinformed men. And it's the responsibility of those of us who are stepping outside of these kinds of limiting spaces. Some spaces are very limiting. Not just limited, but they limit other people. And you're discouraged from looking on your own, studying on your own, doing this type of research. Somehow literacy is not the privilege of everybody. And that understanding belongs only to a self-proclaimed few. And so the education and the information of the Israelite of Hebrew women are kind of packaged, prepackaged in a particular way. And this type of miseducation and mishandling has to be addressed. And unfortunately, it's not always being done. So we do it here. Like you said, we have all of these topics that we have been going over, trying to have community conversations, engaging the people, pulling topics from the trenches and not from other places. And we're listening to the audience. And then we come on the air to have these conversations with you because it's important to you. Like Emunah says, it's not because we have nothing else to do, but because we are trying to demonstrate our investment in our people. And it's going to continue to be bad information. So so this is why we give you other things to look at. Because it's from the pulpit and it's from the congregations and the camps and the whatever and what have you, where you get these extrapolations about Emunah and opinions about Emunah that are just not found in Scripture. Why would she do that? We know why she did it, But instead of looking and truly investigating why, or what kinds of things informed those decisions, we kind of, I think it was a conversation I was having with my nephew about frames of reference. Like we are often limited by our frame of reference, and we are only as willing to make sense of things based on the amount of information we already have access to. It's not until we challenge ourselves to look outside of those things and expand on that frame of reference that other ideas are allowed to enter in, factor in, and maybe become to more a fullness or a complete, and maybe even a completely different conclusion. And that's what learning is about. When we start to reproduce, recycle, and repeat rhetoric, then that's not really the same as researching and coming to fullness and understanding. And Emunah and others, women in Scripture, kind of fall into those pits that others have dug for them, and then we have to come and kind of rescue the truth and the truth and accuracy after the fact. So I think this conversation is going to continue to be fruitful. I like that the brothers brought about balance, the idea of balance. I tried to introduce that earlier, but I love that the men are saying there's this idea of balance that need revisited, understood, and practiced. Because, unfortunately, there's this idea of Israel is something that is phallocentric or androcentric and not inclusive of all of all of us Hebrews, particular part of Hebrews. So I think that we're going to start talking about inclusion and how that is necessary. One of the things we talked about, even with this topic, is where is the balance. If this is something that you want to do as a woman and you are saying, listen, I am speaking confidence into my husband when I do this. I am speaking encouragement into him. I'm speaking his destiny into him, that our men go out and they are confronted with so many things that disempower them and discourage them, that at home it's good for him to hear husband. It's good for him to hear king. It's good for him to hear Lord, Adonai, Adonai, all these other things. That it's an affirming, positive aspect that as a woman I have the ability to do, and so I want to do that. And again, that's great if you're saying it's what you want to do. But what we hear here is that the man needs to be affirmed. The man is feeling disempowered. The man needs to feel encouraged. Hear that women are not in need of these things. Another sister brought up earlier today this idea of the needs of the men being privileged and the needs of the women being neglected or presumed to not exist at all in a different context, but that was the idea that she wanted to explore in one of the groups. So I think that speaks also to this idea of where is the balance? Where is the balance? How do we we're talking about the women are out of order, the women don't have the sense of propriety they need, they don't understand modesty, they don't understand integrity, they're not feeling all of these things. Well, if we understand that the men are suffering in this way, and so the way that we help them gain confidence is by using these terms, then what's the plan for redundancy and reciprocity and balance for the woman that you are saying is suffering from not coming to her own righteousness or whatever else you expect from her? She's still out of order. She's still too impatient. She's still too cynical. She's still too all of these things. So what are you doing for her? What are we doing for her? As sisters, what do we do to encourage one another to feel as if we belong in the culture, that we are making meaningful contributions to the culture? So I think that's another thing that I would ask for the conversation to think about. Sal is saying that he's having technical difficulties, so we'll be patient and await his return in the interim. But
I was wondering what happened to Sal. Okay.
He just notified us.
I'm not at the computer right now. So that means that we can't.
That's why we're a team, Emunah. I'm covering my side. You cover your side. Yeah. So, but Emunah's going to hold it down until Sal comes through because, she's our capable host. But so, sis, what should we do now? I yield the mic.
All right. Well, thanks for that. Sister Mayanah, for those who just joined us, this is, I was going to say Take Time to Heal. Like, I just had a flashback. So many things in my mind. It is kind of Take Time to Heal, but it's a relationship challenge. And we're speaking about should the woman call the man Lord. So right now, sometimes it's good to have, like you say, to balance the other side of the conversation, because the conversation right now, we kind of at a consensus that, there should be a balance, and it should not be something that's forced, even the male that's on the panel. So they might be like, them sisters then got to do the men to just agree with them. Right now there's a dude out there right now walking up and down with his springs just swinging, like, you going to call me Lord. Like, where is he? I would like to have a conversation with the person so that we could continue to get to, because a lot of times, and I was saying this to Sister Mayanah earlier, that a lot of times when we pull some of this stuff from the trenches, and then when we talk about it, everybody all of a sudden act like you just made it up. You know what I'm saying? Everybody act like it doesn't exist. The person who has the other opinion, they're very vocal behind the computer. I mean, keyboard gangster galore. You know what I'm saying? We got keyboard ninjas out here. Like, they will pop off, but then when you say either show up or let your voice be heard, now all of a sudden I'm shy. I find that just amusing. It's just very interesting because social media has brought us into a space where we don't even filter ourselves anymore. What you would not say to somebody's face because you're behind an avatar, you're more free with what you're saying. And a lot of times it's negative, nasty stuff. Or just being able to substantiate your thoughts so that we can come to a consensus. Because, again, we've been kind of gelling on this conversation or on this panel for 26 episodes. And so, it was a little rough in the beginning, a little bumpy. But then sometimes we do have those bumps. But on this particular topic, we're in agreement. So let me see if Sal is back, because I don't want to kind of like beat it into the ground. If we're kind of on an agreement, I would really like to hear some of the thoughts that may be out there, so that we can see what direction we can take this in. Because if we've given everybody enough, because we at 9:45, we're at the 10 o'clock hour. If we've given everybody enough, then that would be good too. What are your thoughts? Let me just go around and get, some closing thoughts as we're nearing the 10 o'clock hour. We're gonna check on Brother Mercy. Brother Mercy, let's get some closing thoughts. We're gonna come to Brother Sal, and then Sal. We're going to check on Sal. We're going to come to Mayanah, and then I'll give my closing thoughts on the situation. So, Brother Mercy, what are your closing thoughts? Mercy, Brother Mercy, are you still there? Okay, I don't know if Mercy's there. What are your closing thoughts, Brother Ahwar?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, just a quick example. Yesterday, my sisters came to town. I was kind of hanging with them, and they were watching this movie about Barack Obama. And the movie was based on how he first met his wife. And I just happened to look in their eyes, my sister's eyes, and they wasn't blinking watching that movie. And what I saw in their eyes were they were admiring the whole. I don't know how Barack Obama and them really are, but the whole image that they're portraying, that they got everything together. Like people, like I noticed that they're acknowledging that their marriage is a marriage that look like it's totally together because they portray like they won. I don't know what goes on behind the closed door, but when I was looking in my sister's eyes, they all had that look in their face like, wow, I wish I can be like that with my husband. That one mind. Like they desire that deep in their heart. Their eyes wasn't blinking. They was watching that show, and they looked at him as, like he was a prominent, like they had a lot of admiration in their eyes because he proved himself as far as the being power to control stuff and to be on point and not slipping. That's what they were really admiring, his attributes of being disciplined. You know what I'm saying? They were like they looked like they trusted him. Now, I don't know what the real story is with him, but what they get in the media or whatever, they had that look in their eye like, I wish I had a man like that I can trust, that I feel safe with. You know what I'm saying? And I just said all that to say that's what I think a lot of sisters desire, and that's that balance where they got a husband that he's that that on point with the Most High, that they feel safe, man. But I'm going to pass the mic.
Wow, you're just dropping it today. You're just dropping it today, Brother. Well, good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you for sharing. Sister Mayanah, definitely, that is, if she can, and Mayanah speaks to this, so I guess you can speak to it, Mayanah, about the vulnerability. In order for her to be vulnerable, she has to be secure. And there's some people, there's doctrine out there that says, no, she needs to be vulnerable before you can be secure. Yeah. If she doesn't feel vulnerable, you may be getting the other side of her. And because she does have a inclination towards being intuitively emotional from time to time, you may get this range of emotions that you're like, okay, she's bugging out. She's not secure. So you're going to get this uncertainty. You're going to get this second guessing. It depends on the person. You may get some nagging, and you may be like, why are you nagging me? She's 1 second away from being in the dark. You know what I'm saying? Not having food in her fridge. You know what I mean? The rent not being paid. So this is not a secure environment. When you look at nature, before the animals lay their young, they build a nest. They make sure the thing is secure. They put the stuff together so that now the feminine principle feels comfortable in furthering the next generation. So these are some of the very simple things that we overlook, like Brother Ahwar's been saying the whole show. We overlook them, and then you're telling her to make bricks without straw. You understand what I'm saying? And that's kind of the mentality that I see prevailing in our community today. But with that said, Sister Mayanah, what's your closing thoughts on this conversation? Don't tell me Sister Mayanah is gone now. Can I be heard? Are you there, Brother Ahwar?
Yeah, I hear you.
You couldn't hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now, sis. The mic is yours.
I was told them all by my onesies. Okay, so I wanted to start thank you for bringing me into that conversation. I think that it provides a great segue into the conversation that we'll be holding on Wednesday on our Liberty. It's going to be on Liberty lessons. It's going to be one of the Liberty lessons conversations that we're holding on Wednesday, sis.
I think it will be on it's gonna be on one of the channels. We'll put it. I think it might be on the Emunah Yisrael channel, but one of the same.
Okay. So my point is that we're going to, as Sister said before, I kind of do a spillover because there is this idea of double jeopardy when it comes to the women. The women don't feel secure. The women are facing a great deal of intersectional struggles and obstacles that don't always get addressed or I want to say healed because I have Emunah in my head saying healed all day, every day. That don't get resolved. That's the word that I want to use. That don't get resolved. And it's true that women respond to that sense of being secure. Very often, when men want to diminish the way the response of women to particular situations, they want to say, "Oh, you're just insecure." Saying that someone is insecure, although you may want it to be an insult, simply means that that woman doesn't feel safe, and more than likely, she doesn't feel safe with you. So it does not reflect poorly on her as you would like it to be. Instead, what you are confessing is that there's no sense of safety between you and the woman you are talking to, that she doesn't feel understood and safe with you. And Emunah, as Emunah has already said, I very often, like to let people know that this idea of submission, this idea of being able to give the men the kind of affirmation they're looking for requires a degree of vulnerability that is going to, that you still must secure. Now, as I said, there are people that say you should, that they're somehow masculine to need security before going into this. If anything, that seems to be extremely risky behavior, and it's actually not Torah. But then again, the person that is forwarding this idea is also not Torah, so or any type of biblical reference. Instead, we see that in Torah, that there's an entire year set aside for new couples. And the stated reason is that he is to make her happy. And the idea behind that is that she's in a new environment, and she is expected to have that relationship with him, but based on what? So he's not expected to go to work or to war, which is two of the major ways a man would make money, other than his other work. Yeah, work and war is the way that men would make money, and he is expected to abstain from that to make his business his new wife for an entire year, and that's going to build bonds of trust, familiarity, and build up safety in the woman for her. The other thing, because this is our closing statement, and I want to make this quick because I know that the other brother has to speak. Brother Mercy and Sister Emunah, this is one of the few times that Sister Emunah and I don't agree. And that's when it's very rare that we don't agree, but this is one of them. The Ima Sarai's original name had to do with contention. Ima Sarai is the feminine for princess, like her sister's name, Malaka, was queen. So this princess and queen, this idea that scholars have put forward from reading the things that I've been reading, it seems to me, and I would just suggest this to others. Emunah has a great deal of research, so I understand if people want to follow her thinking, but this is what I would suggest. In the Hebrew, you can look this up. The Strong's gives it the number H6869, and it's spelled Tzara, and we know that the TZ makes this sound, and so it sounds like Sarah, and that TZ SARA sounds like Sarah, and it means adversary, it means contention, and it has the number H6869. But Ima Sarai's name, you will find both of those forms, both Sarai and Sarah, in Genesis 17:15. The call numbers for that would be H8297 and H8299. And it doesn't have the TZ, and it just means princess. Now, they sound the same, but they aren't the same word. And I think that is where, this is my theory on why some scholars are coming to this conclusion, is because the sound in Sarah and the sound in Sarah sound the same, but they don't mean the same. Contention belongs to, again, 6869, and princess belongs to 8283 or 8297. So this is why I would kind of maybe go another direction from Brother Mercy and brothers and Sister Emunah, in saying that there was some element of contention even in Sarai's original name, especially, and we also have to deal with the fact that in Genesis she also has the name Iska, Jessica, that's also there. So, I mean, there's a lot of things about Ima Sarai and her name and what they mean and what they imply. And this idea of contention, I really think that it really comes from the pulpit that wanted to cast a shadow on Ima Sarai, just like they want to say that she didn't have faith and she had some crisis of faith and she laughed, but, Abraham never had a crisis of faith, and, he was just misled by this, this overbearing woman who just made all of these ridiculous. It's just like, okay, all of a sudden, one of the three women, our three major ancestresses, she has to be disparaged in this way. We don't have a lot of positive female influences or examples to begin with. Only maybe a tenth of the women are given names in the Torah and the Tanakh. So this campaign to kind of disparage them at every given turn, I'm kind of hesitant to do that. So I spend a little more time trying to kind of dissect why these things are happening to Surah, whose daughters we are. If we can successfully diminish her, then you successfully diminish all of us. And we can successfully make everything all Eve's fault, then we can successfully keep the daughters of Israel that we are, right now and in modernity, also guilty of all of the things that we attach to Eve, to Sarai, to anyone else that it happens to have a uterus that we can diminish. Miriam isn't really important. Deborah is not really important. And this kind of campaign, I think, is problematic and caustic. It's a toxic kind of thing. And so I just wanted to submit that for consideration. Again, I don't propose that I am more informed than anyone else, but this is I found it interesting that Sarah sounds like Sarah, and one actually has the meaning of contention. And so that's just out there for consideration. With that, I yield the mic.
See, now, Sister Mayanah was right. This is a point where we don't agree on. Because, and I thank you for that, Sister Mayanah. This is a point where we definitely don't agree on, because I don't think it diminishes. It lends to what I said earlier, and that what she said earlier is that our foreparents were people. They were real people, okay? And when I'm a realist, you know what I'm saying? So when you look at a name that somebody bears, and then you look at the characteristics that bears out, it does not mean that the person all of a sudden, has to be this lowly Rahab type character. It just means that the conversation and the way in which she exchanged when her name was Sarai changes. This is why the Most High gave the Hay, which is universal life, to Abraham. Abraham became Abraham, as well as Sarai became Sarah. And I just wanted to share that the Zeta word, it doesn't start with a sheen. And Ima Sarai's name starts with the sheen, the resh, and the yod. And so when you go into the Hebrew and the sheen, the resh, and the yod, and you begin to look for the roots, one of the roots is sar. So I could see how Sister came up with, that it does mean princess. There's an aspect of it that does mean the feminine version of